Hi, digital writers. My name is Jessica Leica. I'm the creative producer for the Digital Writers Festival. And today we have the LiveJournal, LieJournal session with Paul Verhoeven, Nicholas J. Johnson, Michelle Law, and Elizabeth Flux. So I'll just give everyone a little bit of an introduction and see if you can tell just from that who's lying and who's not, but I'm sure we'll have to listen to everything they have to say first. So Michelle Law is a Brisbane-based author, and she's the co-author of Shit My Asian Mother Says, and she, at the moment, has a very deadly fish in her background, so you can see if have a guess between devil's advocate or if she's playing devil's advocate or if everything she says is truth. Next we have Nicholas J. Johnson. He's a Melbourne writer and comedian. And he likes collecting scams, and he is a writer of the new fabulous book, Chasing the Ace. So have a listen to what content it brings in today and see if he's lying by what he says. Next we have Paul Verhoeven. He's a host and writer of ABC3's Steampunks. He's also a regular guest on The Project on Channel 10. And he's brought in some content for us today as well. So see if those blue eyes are lying to us, along with that blues hat. You're wearing blue, actually, all wearing blue.
Yeah.
Last up, we have Elizabeth Flux. She is the editor of Flux, and she likes to freelance, right? And in her spare time, she also comes up with some very terrible puns. But she's actually quite sneaky as well. She's just in the background there behind me. So she's already starting off in a bit of sneaky way, so maybe she's one of our liars today. Alrighty, let's get started. So, Michelle, would you like to start us off?
Oh, fine. Okay. So, this is my piece. Who knows if it's truth or if it's all lies? Okay, so I'll kick us off, and I have a couple of links that I will put in the chat box, so feel free to open those up whenever you want. Okay. I broke up with my boyfriend a few months ago, and to overcome the initial heart-wrenching grief, I did what any logical young woman does when left in the lurch. I joined a hip-hop class. Although my body type is typically suited to sports like Pilates and unpaid factory work, I am actually more gangster and imposing than you might think. If you have Google if you Google image my name, the results include Michelle Obama crumping and pictures of my older brother leaning against a tree. I will remind you that Michelle Obama is a lawyer and my older brother is a man equals powerful people. So I joined this hip-hop class with the full knowledge of how dangerously uncoordinated I am. My hips are bruised and possibly cancerous from the amount of times I've run into the walls in my apartment, which was built with that asbestos-laden plaster popularized in the 1930s. The dance instructor was a Czechoslovakian woman with abs of steel who managed to make simple movements like push-ups look sexy. What I learned in those 2 hours of dislocating my joints is that when you're popping and locking, everything has the potential to be sexy. From receiving change from a vending machine to wearing puffy, oversized sneakers that look like your feet are fisting fluorescent clouds. To my surprise, I didn't do that badly. I didn't even manage to look like the woman in this video, which I will link you to now. One of the most incredible videos you will ever watch.
Did you want to screen share it?
Sorry?
So it's the second app down, the green one on the left. If you click screen share, it'll bring it up.
I'm watching it, it's amazing.
Oh, wait, are you so much. I don't know how this is working, and I refuse to accept it. But the link is there. I'll carry on. Okay. Although I don't believe accidentally punching myself in the face while stomach rolling is particularly thuggish, my actions were probably more culturally sensitive than the time I wore a traditional Chinese dress to German Day at school. It was primary school and we were asked to dress in the national colours of Germany, which we'd been studying, but I stand by my decision because judging by this still, which I will link you to now, In the award-winning Wong Kar-wai film In the Mood for Love, red, yellow, and black is also a favoured palette among the Chinese. The hip-hop lessons were part of my quest to become a fitness diva, which is a self-devised term used to describe a woman who is so terrifyingly fit that her breasts can withstand the weight of a two-tiered IKEA bookshelf that has been filled with literature. To be honest, I probably won't become a fitness diva. To achieve such a feat, you must be wealthy enough to buy things like meat and steroids, and dedicated enough to lose about 70% of your human dignity. My main goal is to be more physically active, because when I told my optometrist that I spend about 4 hours a day in front of my computer, I lied. Maybe quadruple that number and you might have a more accurate figure. So in addition to hip-hop, I've also registered for weekly yoga classes. The people who know me will tell you that I'm very inflexible. I can't even touch my knees. I blame my inflexibility on my scoliosis, but I'm just incredibly lazy. And like most people of my generation, Gen Y, I've lost touch with my body, sacrificing my physicality in favor of soulless technology, products like iPods and George Foreman grills. See this guy? My fitness level is embarrassing. I'm in my early 20s and consider emptying the bins a strenuous activity. Meanwhile, my grandmother is in her 80s, walks 2 kilometers a day, and can wrap her neck around her ankles. My grandmother's a resilient woman. She survived on yams during World War II and had friends who couldn't menstruate because they were so malnourished.
Where does she get the yams from?
Who knows? She's just a crazy woman. She probably grew them herself. She's still growing things using her own urine, so power to her.
Wait, sorry.
Wait, what?
Sorry. We need to dwell on that point.
She'll use meat offcuts as compost as well, and I'm like, you don't understand that you can't do that. Anyway, moving on. When Brisbane City flooded earlier this year and the population descended into crisis mode, I asked my grandmother over the phone if she was afraid. Why waste energy on being afraid, she said. Everyone is going to die eventually. Then she hung up and continued playing mahjong with her friends at the Asian retirement village. So I started yoga, and the first session was immediately gratifying. I stretched, posed, and tensed so hard that I almost vomited from overexertion. Apparently bile is the taste of fitness. I felt cleansed by the process, but also alarmed because throughout the session I couldn't help noticing the instructor had a thick vein running along his forearm that made it resemble a huge penis, and B, what was undoubtedly a huge penis. It's difficult to maintain the warrior pose while being instructed by a bronze Adonis wearing lime green tracksuit pants. Any person who wears clothes will tell you that light-colored anything is revealing, which is why if you ever meet me in real life, you'll notice the majority of my clothes are black, as I was raised by a conservative mother who attended a convent school run by Catholic nuns. So if I recall anything from my childhood besides the repressed trauma of my parents' divorce, this children's rhyme about tracksuit pants that goes something like this. Those who want to be fit and don't want to look like a git should always wear dark pants, otherwise everyone will see your gigantic cock. And that is the end of my piece. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Elizabeth, you want to ask a question, Michelle?
Oh, I don't really want to go back to the gardening, but I also really do. Instead, how do you make a push-up look sexy? I just don't believe that's a thing that can happen.
Look, you can't question fitness. I think it's a matter of hiding the intense pain that you're in by just grimacing or smiling and not maintaining eye contact with anyone in the room. I think that's the trick to it. Who can actually say, because I have never exercised it.
I guess we can all agree that Grimace is the sexiest McDonald's mascot, so...
What is Grimace?
Is he a blueberry? Is he the thing blocking your eye?
He's
more an eggplant, I feel.
Well, I don't feel more or less convinced from that.
What about you, Nicholas? Do you have a pressing question?
Yeah, I want to know more about the garden, to be honest. I want to know what else goes in the fertilizer despite human urine and meat of cats.
So I don't think she's actually used feces as of yet, but she's definitely used urine. She has used vegetable scraps, meat offcuts, as mentioned. I think she's used human hair, which will never break down.
What about fingernails?
Oh, probably. Knowing her, that's probably biodegradable. Rice, the water from when you wash rice is very nutrient rich, so it's basically just this horrible gumbo.
It's like a band name.
Horrible gumbo.
Horrible
In the
gumbo.
garden.
That's pretty much it. Basically anything that's not human shit.
We learned from the berry scandal that's probably for the best.
Yeah, probably. Can't say for sure, but probably.
Paul, you look like you're a bit skeptical there. Do you have a question?
I don't know, because I have a few friends who went through breakups and their first move was to go to dance, and I get that. I get that you want to use your body and you want to be kind of, but they always went like as far, because dancing on like a sliding scale, there's like folk dancing and then there's pole dancing, and typically speaking my friends are veered towards the pole dancing end. So why did you dance, like why did you do hip hop dancing? Like what made you, like what drove you?
How can you express what's truly in your heart, Paul?
I dance?
I think what...
Can you answer that question in the form of a dance?
Oh, God.
Prove it.
You stole my question.
I did stop going after the first couple of classes. But I don't know. I think in my heart, I'm probably like a really buxom black woman. And I think actually being there was a shock because most of the people in the class were like all Asian, really into R&B, all so much better than I will ever be. And I think hip-hop was just something that's always appealed to me because it's something that I wish I could do and be a part of, but I'm just the most white Asian you will ever meet.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So you'll
I
have
have
to...
a question too. I was leaning towards asking more questions about these infamous yams. But I think I should stick more to your dance moves. So run us through a dance class. Run us through an average dance class.
Run you through a dance class?
Yeah.
Not quite a question.
Run through
Put
a
you on the
dance.
spot. See if you're truly telling the truth.
Okay, so what would happen the first couple of times was you would go, and if you brought a friend, you got a discount. So my friend brought me along, and I went, and I think it was like $7. Getting into specifics here, guys, so you know I'm telling the truth. So then we were brought up to the dance studio, which was basically just this giant hall, a wall-length mirror, and no air conditioning, just vents in the roof, and a giant industrial fan, so it got really hot really quickly. Then we had the teacher there, and this was a beginner's class, but they were not beginners because they were all incredible. And she would take you through the choreography of a top 40s hit, and you would run through that a couple of times, and then a couple of people would get up and show their moves and bust a move, and then the sort of beginner weirdy people would stick in the back. And I think it just wasn't for me because I just do not have the body type for it because I was just way too lanky. And I think people afterwards were recommending that I do the Pilates class instead, and then I never went back.
Well, let's consult with Twitter. We have Sasha, who says that urine fertilizer and sexy push-ups, you can't make that stuff up. I don't know. And then we have Philip, who reckons you're lying, and he's officially casting his vote. So we're split here.
This is really scandalous, guys.
Maybe it will have to be a process of elimination. So we have 2 liars amongst us and 2 truth tellers. So pick at random. Right, Nicholas, why don't you go next?
All right. This is one of those ones where I feel like I owe an explanation. This is like 15 years old, what I'm about to read, and I was at university and single and very sad, and I just want to apologize in advance, if that's okay. So I've got 2. I'm reading the first one just to give you a sense that I'm not a terrible person before I read the second, slightly longer one. So this is from. I had a brief dalliance with LiveJournal in 2000, and my username was Nicky Fitz, which is basically named after Ricky Fitz, who was the character from American Beauty, who liked to film plastic bags with a video camera. That's just where I was. Just so you know. Okay, I'm gonna struggle to get through this, so just bear with me because I have not read this in a long time. Okay. All right. Okay. Today, this is the good one, just so you know. Today was International Women's Day. Some of the women at ANU, that's where I went to uni, not enough, in brackets it says, wore blue stockings to mark the occasion. Aside from the barbecue organised by the women's officer, this was the only form of celebration of this day that I saw. On Anzac Day, we take to the streets to remember our fallen brothers. Where is the same respect for our fallen sisters? That's something that I wrote, and I was hoping that that a young women's studies student would read it and fall in love with me after hearing that.
Did they?
It did not. No, because this is the thing. Like a week later, I wrote this. I'll put a link to the actual thing so people can read my terrible spelling. I'll put it just in the chat there so people can read along at home. I'm not what some might call sophisticated, but I would still consider myself a gentleman. What the Italians might call a gelatissimo. They don't call it that, but that's what I thought it was. I believe in respect, romance, and intellect. Sadly, we are a dying breed. Doors are left unopened, shoulders cold in the evening breeze, and flowers wilt in florist windows. I consider myself a bit of a poet. There's some terrible poetry if you have a look at the profile as well. And yet, I remain a gentleman still. This is really hard. The world is a testosterone-fueled orgy of disrespect and violence, both physical and emotional. Oh God, what have I done? That's terrible. I remain a gentleman still. It's repetitive. I will lift my pen and my tongue. I will lift my tongue when 100 more would raise their swords and bear arms. Yeah, I know. Okay, the tongue was like a talking thing. It's not a kissing thing. It's a talking thing.
Were you wearing a fedora when you wrote this, by any chance?
I was imagining a beret.
I did actually. It wasn't a fedora, but I did actually wear a hat, not unlike a fedora, for a brief period.
I'm sorry, Trilby, whatever.
It was a Trilby. Oh, okay. And yet I remain a gentleman still. So I'm kind of nice at this point. All right. As a gentleman, I see it my duty to assist a lady wherever I might, even at my own expense. I must be Walter Riley, spelled R-E-I-L-Y, laying my coat to be muddied in a winter puddle so that a lady might step over it. I feel that I have a duty to stand up for the women of today, whose good names are also being muddied by men. See, that's juxtaposition right there, I think. I feel
very
okay, and then, right, yeah. So at the moment, you go, okay, yeah, still with you, and then this. I feel so sad for the girls who feel they must degrade themselves for men, whose scant clothing belies their lack of confidence. And for some reason, I bring up the film Pleasantville. Pleasantville was on television the other night, and I found myself wishing for a return to the values of the 1950s and 60s, when men were strong and women were not afraid.
Wasn't Tobey Maguire in that movie?
Sorry?
Wasn't Tobey Maguire in that movie?
He was, yes, and Reese Witherspoon. I was
Yeah.
obsessed with it, and Finn Apple's cover of Verhoeven. I completely missed the point of the film, obviously. It may not have been the best of times, but it was a better time. That is
The
all.
blessed of times.
Yes, the blessed of times. Yeah, so that was my effort. There's some poetry on there as well. Yeah. So you can actually don't. I'm gonna see if I can take some of that down. Anyway.
You look so
questions.
embarrassed. I bet you're telling the truth.
Pretty much.
No, it's all lies. It's all lies. It's a joke. Let's move on. All right.
What do you think, Paul? Do you have a question for him?
Well, I mean, a lot of dudes. No, because you're saying things that really, unfortunately, resonate a little bit with me. Not that I said those exact things, but all middle-class white dudes who went to universities in like well-off countries like ours had brief dalliances, even if just in our heads, with that notion of like, but I'm nice. Why isn't she? You know that like weird idea that women are slot machines, and if you just put in enough coins over time, their vaginas will spring open. You know, like that weird turning chivalry in on its head. So the way you're talking, it really felt gross, but it felt gross because it felt familiar. So I actually think you're telling the truth because you seemed just as ashamed as I was. You know what I mean? So that's why I think you're telling the truth, and I sympathize.
Thank you.
Oh, that's all right.
All right, Michelle, what do you think? What's your question?
I would like to know if you did end up receiving any dates from this, and if so, whom was it with, and what did you wear?
Okay, so I didn't get any dates from this. In fact, my next girlfriend, who I got let's try to do the math, very shortly after that, 2001. So shortly after that was, in fact, so it was like a year after that, pretty much, was in fact the woman that I married, who is now my wife, who learnt about the existence of this LiveJournal yesterday, and essentially said had she seen it at the time, she would have not gone out with me at all. But I think on our first date, I had this pair of like really loose-fitting, sort of like corded pants, a very thin sort of trousers, and a suede button-up black jacket that I used to wear.
Oh, jacket with shorts, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good look.
What about you?
I really regret this whole thing, to be honest. Okay, sorry. Okay.
All right, so I want to start with observations and then a series of questions.
Okay.
First up, your camera's a little bit blurry, and I feel like that's deliberate so that I can't look in your eyes and see whether or not you're lying.
It might be, hang on, I'll clean this there.
Is he looking to the left? Is he looking to the right? Who knows? It's too late now. Also, the beginning of yours is littered with a lot of detail, which is a classic lying thing. Like you're telling us you're at ANU, you're telling us what year it was, like 15 years ago, specifically what was going on in your life. That's a little bit suspicious as well. So those are my observations. I've watched a lot of Agatha Christie, apparently. But moving right along, how long did it take you to write that poem?
Which poem? Oh, as in the one that I just...
Epic. Yeah.
Days gone by, yeah.
That wasn't really... I mean, it kind of lapsed into poem there. But the real poetry is in the other ones. The other poetry actually rhymes. But that piece, I remember that was something that was like had been weighing on my mind for a couple of weeks. It was one of those things that that was heavy in my heart. So it was a good couple of weeks of stewing. And then from memory, it came out pretty much as is, and just in a very short period of time.
Where were you sitting when you wrote it? Were you at home? Were you in your dorm?
No, I did not have it. I did not have a dorm. I lived in a share house. I used to live in a granny flat with an uneven floor that was essentially just a converted garage.
That's a lot of details.
But yeah, I know. And I like details. And I had I basically did in there and poured my heart out into my computer.
I feel no more illuminated, but I'm going to go with lies, because of the blurry camera.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm undecided, but I'm definitely suspect.
All right, so I actually think you're telling the truth because I noticed the last line in your poem.
I'm disappointed by the fact you think I'm telling the truth.
It may not have been the best times, but it was a better time. Kind of reminds me a little bit like the introduction to A Tale of Two Cities. So the type of thing you would include in a poem in your pubescent years, where you're wanting to impress girls. You wanting to come across a lot more smart or a lot more intelligent.
Yeah, there's a lot of quoting of Billy Joel songs and other great works. It's very derivative.
Well, let's consult the Twitter a little bit. We have Matt, who says that you look way too embarrassed to be a liar, and you just can't act that kind of shame. And Elizabeth as well, our own Elizabeth Flux, has said, bad poetry, oh no, it's true.
That's also derivative.
Yeah. We also have Philip again. Hi, Philip. Who also says, what's a journal without bad poetry? So he's inclined to believe that you're telling the truth as well, I think. So this one's a bit difficult, I think. Do you have any last moments of trying to convince us one way or the other?
No, I don't. I kind of don't. I'm just disappointed that people believe me. I just want it to be over. I'm done. I'm sorry, I feel emotionally drained. We're only 15 minutes in.
All right.
Oh, dear.
Well, let's move on to Elizabeth, I think.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to be reading from my blog, Harold is Cool, which I started when I was 15. It's called Harold is Cool because I didn't know anyone called Harold, and I figured that was the best way not to offend anyone. So that's where that goes. I made some notes, so you have to see it. Alright, so if there was a soundtrack to my blog, it would be the Zydeco version of Another Brick in the Wall. It covered such important topics as highlighters, marshmallow conspiracy theories. It also featured a lot of random boldings and italicization because I was a huge fan, and still am, of Terry Pratchett, and this was my way of being him, which didn't work very well, I don't think. Can you still hear me? I can't hear anything. Anyway, so it's a bit stream of consciousness. It's not at all personal, and I hid a lot of personal stuff in code through everything. So, just a bit of context before I read it out. 3 things you need to know. The Harry Potter I'm referring to is Harry Potter 6, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. It had come out 4 days earlier, so it was actually my slowest reading of a Harry Potter ever. So, poor form, 16-year-old me. My work experience was at a tax firm, accounting, and no, I'm not being sarcastic in the thing I'm going to read out. And at the time, I was also a member of something called the Protection Against Inanimate Objects Club, which is also known as PAYOP for short. I'm going to put a link into the comments. The illustration down the side is from me. It was basically a group blog that bitched about all of the objects that were out in the world trying to hurt us all. So with that context, I'm going to read you The New Vein of Life. It is very overwritten. There are a lot of ellipses, and you won't even be able to see how many ... boldings and italicizations there are. Okay. Upon return, first up, I'm sorry in advance for this. Okay. Upon return to my computer, I seem to have forgotten what it is I wanted to say. Today has mostly been taken up with reading Harry Potter, and now that I've finished, I've been left with the flat, curious, slightly depressed, and desperate feeling which now seems to follow reading any of the most recent Potter books. Some of the stuff was definitely unexpected. Well, at least stuff that, if it were to happen, which it did, wow, was that a seriously confusing series of words or what? That's in the piece as well. I didn't expect until at least the 7th book. Possibly I'll write more on that later, though I'll put it in wingdings if possible, so it won't ruin anything for anyone. But on another note, a resounding middle C, I think, work experience, or more to the point, stockings. I had an awesome time at work experience, and I think there are some people reading this who are severely sick of hearing about it and might possibly hit me if they have to hear any more about it. The people were really great and helped me a lot, and the work was always heaps interesting, and I'm not being sarcastic. The one downside, though, is that workplaces and skirts, when combined, equal STOCKINGS. In my time, I've called many things the bane of life. Sand, straws, even my previous school bag. But one of the ultimate, and by that I mean definitely in the top 7, has got to be the female-hating phenomenon that is stockings. It travels under many guises. Tights, pantyhose, and the list goes on. An interesting note on this, with the latter being an exception, these are words for pain, or the infliction of such. Stocks, in medieval time, they put people in these as a form of punishment and public humiliation. Tights, well, anything wrapped tightly around you can cause pain, irritation, or even suffocation. Interesting that these terms should be used in conjunction with a form of attire. But then again, women's clothing has never been exactly designed to be user-friendly. For example, corsets, need I say more? They are rib-breaking bones of whales aimed at making women look skinnier. They could crush your internal organs and make you faint. 2. Earrings, great, stab holes in your ears and hang things off them. 3. High-heeled shoes. They can cause permanent damage to your feet and they hurt. Anyone who's been to a formal can attest to this fact. Pointy shoes, another form of foot torture. Why not force 5 toes in towards one another, diagonally ending in a point, other than the massive amounts of pain? So clearly I was attending the Borat School of Humor at this point. And then there's stockings. Though they don't quite cause pain so much, they're just damned irritating. They cling to your legs, they never quite pull up all the way, and if they do, within half an hour you're trying to subtly pull them up again. Unless, of course, you're at school, when you can pull them up without any subtlety whatsoever. And they make that gross noise when you pull them on, and they collect dust. Then, with that all being said, they get ladders in them. Though I have this down as a negative point, personally this is my favourite point about stockings. It's amusing and oddly entertaining to watch them get longer and longer. Some women's clothing is insane, and yet, though I recognise this fact, I, like most others out there, will continue on and be a hypocrite. Though with the exception of pointy shoes, I draw the line at that. And why? For what? To tell the truth, I don't really know. People could say it looks good, it makes you attractive, but this is down to perception. It looks nice because you think it should look nice. Then again, this is the thinking behind most things. Though there are exceptions for most things, something is irritating because you think you should be irritated by it, and something is boring because it is accepted as boring. And on that note, I'll wind this up with a new definition of the bane of life. A sandy beach where the dress code is stockings, where the most evil of inanimate objects reside.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That is how I talked as well. That wasn't just how I wrote.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I have so many thoughts I want to share.
Well, go for it.
Got so
Okay.
philosophical at the end.
I have a couple of questions. So you did work experience at an accounting firm.
Yeah, so in the tax department.
Did you want to be an accountant?
Yeah, I did.
And then what changed?
I actually don't know. Like, I've swung between wanting to be a policeman, an author, an accountant. Basically, I was just going by characters that Monty Python portrays, so I'm not really sure what changed for me.
I would also like to know if you dressed up for the release of Harry Potter 6.
Not for Harry Potter 6, but Harry Potter 7. I was there really early in the morning, lining up, wearing witch's hat, and I was one of the first people in line in Adelaide to get one, and I immediately started reading it whilst walking back to the tram, and it took me less than 4 days that time. So.
And which bookshop was this?
It was at Borders in Adelaide.
Oh,
before it closed
fancy.
down.
R.I.P. I am inclined to think the truth, because just looking at your blog, the Protection Against Inanimate Objects Club, there's a lot of history. There's a lot of comments, a lot of drawings, a lot of heartfelt, thoughtful rants of a young adult.
Yeah, they're not all me. It was a club.
I think
You're welcome to join.
it's still live. It's still alive. It's still going. But I think also the very specific and hellish description of hell, which is stockings on a beach. I couldn't think of anything worse. Nothing. Those are my thoughts.
Thank you for believing me.
All right, Nicholas, do you think Elizabeth's lying?
I'm trying to find cracks in her story because she was so aggressive
blurry.
with me. So I feel like I've got to. I feel like I have to attack, but it all seems, yeah, I feel that. What how old were you when you wrote this?
I was 1 month into being 16.
1 month into. Oh yes, okay, right. Wow, okay. And is this stuff that you still stand by, or is this stuff that you sort of put down to the musings of youth?
Well, Stockings are still terrible. But I think I write in a less stream of consciousness style, and I wouldn't normally start something with, hey, so now that I've returned back to my computer, let's talk about Harry Potter as a segue into stockings. I don't know if that's...
Yeah, I'm inclined to believe it. I think it's true.
Have I actually read Harry Potter? Like, is that just all crap?
You could have just watched the movies. We would not know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they cut out a whole bunch of the Quidditch World Cup.
Which is an outrage, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. It's like cutting out the scouring of the Shire in The Lord of the Rings.
All right.
All right, Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, look, the problem with this is that you are... I mean, it's possible that it could be a lie, but you've strung in lots of true things, like the Harry Potter and the walking like away from the shop and reading it in specific places you bought things, but it does have that sort of like, I'm not going to plan this piece, I'm just going to write until I'm finished vibe that a lot of like younger writers have, so including me. So yeah, I think it's true, but I think you're all telling the truth, so you know, like, don't listen to me.
How embarrassing if I wrote this last week for this event.
Embarrassing for who?
For me. If you're like, oh, that's just how young writers write.
Oh, God. Now, don't say that. You're a great writer.
This is a piece she's been shopping around to all the journals. No one will take it, and so she's trying you out here.
Yeah, Junkie, why don't you post this?
All right, I have a couple of questions. So you pulled up Nicholas before on his attention to detail. Well, there's a lot of detail here, so you could have just been laying the groundwork just to lie to all of us right now.
Or I'm double bluffing you.
Well, I don't know. So, I mean, I don't know, being symbolic about things. Liars tend to look down a lot, and, you know, if you're looking down at your legs, you're thinking about your stockings, I guess, if you're wearing them. And you did say earlier you're wearing stockings today. So, I don't know, you could have been, again, very clever, just setting down the label for this huge lie, fooling us all.
Bit of a truth. If I'm looking down, it's because it's my phone. I'm tweeting. It's relevant to the event. Not just on Tinder or something.
Well, Philip on Twitter again. Hi, Philip. He said, I've seen some weird blogs, but Elizabeth's is not weird enough to be true, surely. So, I don't know, those pictures are very interesting.
But that's not my blog. That's a separate blog that's supplementary to my other blog.
Oh, so there's the links and connections.
That sounds like the sort of sentence that a teenage blogger would say. That's not my real blog. That's supplementary to my real blog.
You're not even my real blog.
You're not even my real blog. I wish I'd never been posted.
Well, Connor in the office as well for Digital Writers Festival has also said that if this old online journal isn't real, it definitely needs to be. So I agree, definitely. So I guess only time will tell. All right, thank you. Paul, lucky last.
Oh, yeah, okay. This is a bit weird because this is from a diary that I wrote in 1997 when I was 15 years old. And I was thinking about going through some of my old LiveJournal stuff because I, have several old LiveJournals just sort of sitting there marinating. But before LiveJournal, I wrote stuff twice as nauseating and awkward, like, that ever ended up in a LiveJournal, in an actual journal, on the cover of which I'd carved the words "Don't Panic," because A, I really like Douglas Adams, and B, I vastly overestimated the profundity and gravitas that a 15-year-old could imbue himself with if he walked around carrying a book with "Don't Panic" carved onto the cover. People weren't going to look at this book and this pimply, awkward, like, huffy little teenager and think, son, you are going places. They were going to judge me. So I went through this diary back to front when my mum sent it and a bunch of other stuff down to me when I started university. So I was in first year uni, and I thought it would be fun to transcribe a bunch of this stuff onto... There was a social media network that existed very briefly called Multiply. It was run by Microsoft, I think, and they don't exist as of 2013. So all my Multiply stuff is... No, Microsoft still exists. Multiply doesn't exist. You go to multiply.com and it's just like, they're like, this domain was bought out by some like, Indonesian cigarette company in 2013. So I tried looking for an archive version of it, but I do have like just big text dumps in my Yahoo Mail, because I used to use Yahoo Mail back then. So I went through and I found a few of the most nauseating transcriptions of 15-year-old me and his innermost thoughts. Jesus Christ, this is awful. I hope you like them. Please be kind. This is pretty confronting stuff. Here we go. So, all right, here we go. 15-year-old me. This is from 1997, by the way, just to put things in context, okay? Entry 1. Here is a list of things I hate right now. My dad. I hate my dad. I was listening to the Batman Forever soundtrack in my room.
Bit of Smashing Pumpkins. Or were they on that album? I can't remember.
Trust me, there's a specific track that will come up very soon.
Okay.
So, yeah. But I bought last week on tape from Brash's, and my dad came in and told me to turn it down. He said it was just noise, and I should listen to some real music. And I said, Dad, this isn't noise, it's Kiss from a Rose by Seal. So, my dad starts saying Seal isn't real music, and he brings in a bunch of his CDs for me to listen to. David Essex's Greatest Hits, Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds, double CD, Deep Forest 1 and 2. Then he leaves. There's a new paragraph. I hate Deep Forest, but I listened to it loud so he couldn't hear what I was actually doing, playing Quake. I love Quake. I love it. The graphics are so good. So if I listen to Dad's stupid music loud enough, he'll think I'm doing what he wants, but I'm actually playing Quake, which is what I want. I'll listen to Seal later. All right, that's the first entry. Let's skip ahead a bit. This blog entry is my favorite. It's called I Love Alanis Morissette. I love Alanis Morissette! All caps. I cannot stress this enough. Oh boy, I am so glad, and I've underlined so glad twice, which seems like an odd emphasis, that I've borrowed her album Jagged Little Pill from Manly Library. They mostly have crap tapes to borrow there, but I went the other day to get some Tintin. Captain Haddock is my favourite. Thanks, young Paul. And I'd wandered over to the cassette section. I had to wait for this old guy who'd fallen asleep in the chair next to the cassette area. That chair is for browsing, not for sleeping. Wake up, old man. I want to look at the tapes. It goes on. When he left, I found some good stuff. Harry Connick Jr.'s Star Turtle. Oh. Crash Test Dummies. Yeah. And then, as I was about to leave, I saw Jagged Little Pill. I thought, she's pretty cute. She's the ironic girl. And boy, oh boy, did she deliver. In You Ought to Know, a searing ballad about love and boys, she said the F word. I like that. The next day I went to the newsagents for comics and I saw Alanis on the cover of the latest TV hits. I bought it, took it home, and put the poster... I should have checked this before I read it out loud. I bought it, took it home, and put the poster of her on my wall next to my bed. I couldn't find any blue tack, so I had to use a glue stick. But my parents couldn't afford the good glue stick. They got those cheap yellow glue sticks. So now the wall is going to be yellow where my poster has been put up. My God, young me was compelling. I love you, Alanis Morissette. I hope you can see through the poster of you into my room. I like to think you can hear me when I talk to you. And if you can't, I've been talking to a poster all week, which isn't great. And there's one more here. Just got back from seeing Wild Things with Nev Campbell from Party of Five. and then there's like nothing on the rest of that page, and on the next page, in the middle of the page, it just says, "I'd give her a party of 5." What does that even mean? I assume it's some sort of crude masturbation joke. I'm not sure. So yeah, that's all she wrote. Sorry about that. I'm very sorry.
All right, what do we think, guys?
It was the most 1997 thing I've ever heard in my life.
I was very into cultural touchstones. I really still am. Yeah.
All right, Michelle, what do you reckon?
I have a couple comments. I do like the OCD-ness of naming the glue stick brand. And I was for a second worried that you had put the poster next to your bed for other reasons and you were going to use some other form of adhesive.
Yeah.
That's immediately where my head went.
Same.
I'd have it in my lap, I'd finish, and then I would put it up as a reward. Using my own brand of adhesive is what you're saying. Great. Thanks for that.
My parents are watching this.
Specific references, especially to songs, so I wonder if it's like you've just been Googling songs from that year.
No.
But I do like how the first entry did sort of sound like it read like the Prince of Bel-Air opening credits.
Like the whitest Prince of Bel-Air credits ever.
I did appreciate that, and I did enjoy it.
All right, so you enjoyed it. Good.
Nick, what do you think?
I can't believe it. I mean, like, he was with me, but then he said Alanis Morissette was on the front cover of TV Hits magazine. She was way too indie. She was way too hardcore to ever sell out like that. So,
dude, they played her on every channel. They played her on every channel.
She was universal, was she? I don't know, but you know what? Like, I think just because something's not true, like not factual, it doesn't mean it's not true. So I think that there's truth in his words, even if it's not factual. I think it's true in his heart of hearts.
All right, Elizabeth, do you have any questions or queries or trying to get the truth out of him?
I went to Wikipedia and looked up 1997 to see if there was just going to be like a list of all those things, and there wasn't, and I was a bit disappointed. So I don't know
What, you
where
thought I just Googled 1997 and just dumped stuff into a fake entry?
Well, I was hoping you would, and just make it easier. Unfortunately, like, I'm running up to February, and as an event, they've got Chloe Grace Moretz, I assume, being born. But,
Oh, God.
No, she's actually aging back. She gets a Lifetime Achievement Award in 1997. Big deal.
I don't know, it was either true or very convincing to lie. Because there's that whole moment where you're like, oh, I wish I'd read over this before reading it out, but that could be very well calculated, or it could be sincere.
Maybe I'm just a good actor.
Maybe you're just a very good actor. I can't tell.
I've seen his stuff. He's not that great.
Son of a bitch. You're right,
It's all very upsetting.
All right, well, let's consult the Twitter. We have Richard, who actually thinks everyone's telling the truth. So we could be lying from the start. You know, we could all be telling the truth here. Who
That's
knows?
my husband.
And we have Sasha saying that Paul is painfully hilarious, but she assumes that you're lying. And Elizabeth lamenting over the fact that her parents are watching this. And we also have Matt saying that Paul, he thought it was epic of you to mention Seal and Morissette and Wild Things. It warms the heart and brings a tear to his eyes. However, he's not buying it. I'm also inclined to think that you're lying as well. You're the only one who didn't provide a little website on the side, so there's no link to the blog. Where is it, Paul?
Just shut up.
You got a photo of the poster?
Actually, I did have a photo of myself the year I wrote this that I was going to post up for you guys. I have a photo of myself the year I wrote these entries. I'm just going to post it up. It's pretty hectic. Let me just grab it
Looking
now.
forward to seeing this.
Yeah, cool.
I'll post it on the Tumblr for anyone watching.
Oh yeah, here we
I
go.
think I just found your website. It's here.
Can we?
Really?
Is there some way we can take extra points off Paul? Because I've now got Seal, like Kiss from a Rose, just in my brain, and I can't
Soundworm.
get it out.
Can I please link everyone to the most amazing photo of Seal in the world?
Yes, please.
Please hold and get ready. You may have seen this already, but there it is. My life just was not the same afterwards.
Yeah, it's perfect.
All right.
That's
Well,
true.
I think everyone has said their piece. Oh, I don't know. Where do we start?
My mum's just texted me saying watching with great interest, just FYI.
Amazing.
Hi, Mum.
All right. Well, do we want to cast our final votes on who's lying and we'll reveal who's lying as well? Or probably we should check the Twitter first and see what everyone else thinks. Okay, so Philip says that he thinks Elizabeth's telling the truth, Michelle is lying, Paul is lying, and Nicholas is telling the truth. So thanks for that, Paul. What else have we got? I don't know, I've just got Connor in the office here casting the votes on who's the liar and who's telling the truth. But alright, why don't we start with Elizabeth. So, what does everyone think that she was doing? Was she lying or telling the truth about her stockings on a beach being life's true health?
I'm going to go telling the truth.
I'm going to say truth just because of the stockings on the beach thing.
I'm going to say truth because of the Harry Potter thing.
Okay, yeah, I think I'll go with truth as well, just to be unanimous with everyone else. So were you telling us the truth?
I can't lie.
Alright.
Oh, the rest of my blog is just as bad.
We'll link it on Twitter so everyone can see.
Please don't.
We already have it. Alright. What does everyone think Michelle was doing? Was she lying or telling the truth?
I think telling the truth.
I think lying.
What do you think, Elizabeth?
Sexy push-ups aside, I think it's too specific to be a lie, so I'm going to go with truth as well.
Well, Twitter's under the impression that you're lying, Michelle. So.
What are they saying?
So were you lying or telling the truth?
I was sadly telling the truth.
Oh.
I did do hip-hop classes, and my grandmother has used and possibly still does use urine as compost. But I haven't been to a class since, but I sort of regret not keeping it up because it'd be so badass right now. You guys don't even know. But yeah, I'm a terrible liar. So I was telling the truth.
All right. Well, if people are using their deductive skills, they will know who's lying and who's not at this point. But just for balance, so Paul, everyone on Twitter thought you were lying, and we all thought you were
Everyone?
Everyone, yeah.
It was the main
All of
feedback.
Twitter.
All of Twitter, yeah.
All
Stephen
of
Fry
Twitter.
chipped in, yeah.
Rupert Murdoch hates me.
Everyone.
God damn it.
So were you lying or telling the truth?
I was lying, but, and this is important, everything I talked about, I actually did.
Oh my god.
Everything.
So how did the glue stick work out?
Oh, I ruined the
In the
wall.
long term. Oh.
Yeah.
Including your hostility to the old man at the library.
Yeah, everything. Every single thing. I think the best way to write a lie is to write it based on truth. So
I'm
every
going to
single
see
thing in that
you for
happened.
browsing.
I'm finding it hard to believe that you would have done that to the guy at the library.
Why didn't I? Oh no, that was that was internal monologue. That was like me
Okay.
that was me talking to the diary. How angry. Anyway, yeah, that all happened. My actual blog entries are far sadder and far worse. So you know, figured to have some fun with it, really. So
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed it. I think we all did very much. All right. Well, that leaves Nicholas. So you fooled Twitter. People thought you were telling the truth. So.
It is a hollow victory, because the fact that people would look at me and look at those words and go, yeah, no, I can see that, does not fill me with any sense of triumph whatsoever.
You fooled me as well, actually. I really thought you were telling the truth.
Oh,
What did everyone else think?
No, I did take the time to go and make a fake LiveJournal there's about half a dozen posts on there, and I just backdated them to 2000, and you can read. There are some terrible poems that I wrote this afternoon that you can read.
That's real dedication.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed.
Yeah, although actually, to be honest, now as I'm saying that out loud, I kind of wish that maybe it was true, because I'm not sure if that's equally sad. That I'll show them with my fake LiveJournal. In fact, I wasn't 100%, and this is again, like when you were talking about Harry Potter, and you sort of, you said when the 6th book came out in 2005, I was like, I got married in 2005. Oh no, I suddenly feel very old. And also when I was like, yeah, LiveJournal, yeah, wait, what's a LiveJournal again? And so I had to double check exactly what LiveJournal was. So I sadly
the
feel...
LiveJournal is still around.
Yeah, no, it is. It's totally still around, and it's very very active. I think Tumblr has now taken the role that LiveJournal had for the sort of teenage confessionals and so on, but it's definitely still there.
Mm.
Can we all friend on MySpace after this?
We can.
Yeah.
I'm making my top friends.
Yes, thank you.
Oh god.
So many politics with top friends, just all bands.
Yeah, all bands. Friends don't have to stress out then.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom. Just Tom.
Just Tom.
Poor Tom.
Well, I thought you were actually pulling a double bluff, Nicholas, because you're a con man, so I figured you were bound to be telling the truth just to trick us all.
Oh, right, that I just, that's nice, yeah, that I sort of said, oh, yeah, no, privately I told you that I was going to do that, and then just decided to tell the truth. Oh,
Yep.
I'm glad. The last, I did a thing where I had to tell a story and people had to tell whether it's true or not, and it was completely true. And no one believed me in the end. I said, actually, that story is true. And people went, nah, but it's not, is it? It's a lie. And so I feel vindicated that people fell for my lie this time around.
Yay.
All right, well, that just about wraps up our LiveJournal session with Elizabeth Flux and Michelle Law and Paul Verhoeven and Nicholas J. Johnson. Check out Twitter for all of their works, real or not. Thank you all for joining me, guys. It's been a really fantastic session.
Thank you very much.
Yay,
Thanks very much.
Thanks. See ya.
Thank you.
All right. See you later.
See ya.